When you start planning out your time, planning out the things that you have to do, you stop filling every available hour and actually start planning for 70-ish% of the things that you're going to get done. Make sure that you're not over planning, you're not over committing. When you sit down on a Monday or a Friday afternoon and look at the plan for the upcoming week, make sure that it's realistic. Welcome to What Was I Supposed to Be Doing? Time management, prioritization, and focus for when the whole business runs from your brain. I'm Lauren Glenn. I've been in the online business space for over a decade, and I've helped everyone from small business owners to Fortune 500 companies stop reacting to their business and start running it with purpose. These days, I work with service-based entrepreneurs who are booked out, overwhelmed, and tired of always feeling behind. Together, we create time management strategies that match your brain, your energy, and the business you're actually running, not the one hustle bros say you should have. Around here, you'll get honest takes, practical strategies, and maybe a little swearing, so you can finally follow through on the stuff that matters and stop stressing over everything else. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode. How often have you had this thought? I just need to get through this week and then it'll be easier. And then I'll feel organized. And then I'll get my life together or get my shit together. How often have you had that thought, either in your business or in your life? I bet it's fairly often because it's a fairly common feeling, especially among business owners, especially when you're at that inflection point of wanting to grow, but not sure how to get yourself out of the way of growing. But if you just got through this one week, the next week everything will be fine. Or if you just get through this launch, or if you could just finish all those things that keep rolling over on your to-do list, then everything would be fine. And you would be caught up, and your business would be flourishing, and everything would be great. But does that ever actually happen? Do you ever actually finish everything on your to-do list, or are you always feeling like, I just need to get through this week? Because I'm sure that you do. You have that feeling a lot of, I just need to get through this week. Or I just need to get this one thing off my plate and then everything will be easier. But once you get that one thing off your plate, then something else comes onto your plate. And it just never really seems to end. And this happens because you are a smart, capable person. You want to do all of the things. You have a million ideas and you want to try all of them. And you're a creative person, so you keep coming up with new things that you want to do and you want to try in your business. And you keep getting stuck in this cycle because you want to do all of the things. You want to do everything and be everywhere in your business. You have a million ideas and you want to try all of them. You want to see what works and what doesn't. You are a creative person, and so you get bored doing the same thing over and over again. So you feel like you have to keep trying new things, but then fitting it into your schedule can be really complicated. And also, you probably feel like you can't say no to clients, to networking requests, to people who are asking you to help them with things. And so you keep getting stuck in this cycle of never really feeling like you're caught up and never really feeling like you're actually getting ahead or feeling like you have the comfort and time freedom in your business. And this happens to a lot of business owners. It has happened to me, even as a productivity and time coach. It's because it gives you hope that if you just get through this week, it'll all magically fix itself without you having to actually fix the underlying problem. And it kind of helps you be a little bit in denial that it's not your fault. There's just too much on your plate, but it's not your fault. You know, how you manage your time isn't your fault. It's just that you have too much to do. So it's really easy to get stuck in this cycle of everything will be better next week, and I just need to get through this week. And what happens when you get stuck in this cycle is you get stuck in this decision fatigue because you're constantly trying to decide, oh, should I work on this thing? What should I be spending my time on? And it really starts to feel like an uphill battle, and it can be very overwhelming. And you start making decisions just to make them because you don't really have the time or the brain space to really think through them. And so you make a decision just to get it out of your face and get it away from you. But you're not really thinking through, like, is this the right decision? Should I be doing this? Or is there a better option here? And that could also potentially lead to bad decisions because you're not taking that time. You don't have that time to really think through what the decision is that you're actually making. You may be thinking, well, it happens to me once in a while. It doesn't happen to me all the time, but every once in a while I have a rough week. But this isn't me. This isn't something that I experience all the time. I don't have a rough week every week. But if it happens over and over again, more than once, or more than once a month, then it's not just one rough week. If you're always overwhelmed, the next week probably isn't going to be any better. Even if you do manage to catch up, have a day where you really sit down and nail things through and nail things out and really get things done, it's going to come back because you're not fixing the underlying problem. You're getting the work done, but you're not taking that step back to figure out why it's happening to you. One of my clients did a lot of conferences and presentations because that was how she was getting her name out there. She was doing a lot of networking that way, building a reputation for herself. But she was in the habit of always saying yes to these conferences and then getting behind and actually creating the content for them and doing the recordings for them if it was recorded and actually doing all of the work for them. Because she was adding in these conferences in addition to all of her one-on-one work that she was doing with her clients. She was also building a membership out. She was also managing a whole team. And she wasn't really taking into consideration, if I take on this conference, what in my already full schedule is going to have to fall off in order for me to actually spend the time and the energy on creating the content, creating the slide deck, recording it, whatever the steps are. She was really thinking more about the potential positive outcomes, networking, getting her name out there, but she wasn't thinking through the amount of work that she was actually committing to based on her capacity and based on how much work she was already doing. And so she would get stuck in these cycles of, I just need to get past this conference and then everything will be fine. I just need to get everything, organized. I just need to get this recorded and then it'll be back to normal and I'll be back to, managing everything. But spoiler alert, even without the conferences, she wasn't managing everything. She was still getting behind. She was still not finishing everything in her plate. She was still feeling like her email was this black hole and she was never really getting through the whole thing. So by adding in these conferences without really thinking through her reality, she was just making the problem worse because now she's even more behind. So how do we reframe this? How do we stop living in this cycle of, I just need to get through this week, or once I get this big thing off my plate, then everything will be fine? How do we get past that? Well, the first thing you need to do is start planning your work. And I mean actually planning your work, not just list out the projects that you have to do, or, hey, it might be nice to launch this new thing, or just planning out like your launch steps. So I know a lot of people, a lot of business owners out there, you are probably one of them, that will plan out your launch very meticulously. You'll know every email that has to go out. You'll know whatever your Instagram lives are happening. You'll know every single step that's happening. But you don't do that with the rest of your business. You don't do that with other projects that you're working on. You don't do that with the day-to-day of running your business. You just sort of go from task to task without really planning it out. So the first step is to plan everything. Understand all of the tasks that are on your plate, everything that you are responsible for in your business that you actually have to get done, and list it out. Actually make it visible to yourself, because you'd be really surprised how much work you're actually doing and actually achieving and finishing in your business. So by making it visible, it makes it a lot easier for you to then make a plan, to actually figure out how you're actually going to get it all done, or figure out what you could potentially stop doing that's not actually important, which is a little bit of what we're going to talk about next week. How do you drop those unimportant things? How do you identify them? So that's next week's episode. So make sure you're subscribed so you can catch that next week. But by listing everything out, now you can have a full, clear idea of everything that's on your plate, everything that you've committed to, so you know if you can commit to the next thing or not. I know a lot of people use capacity trackers for this kind of thing. So if you wanted to do a capacity tracker, that's one way you could do it. I don't like getting that granular, but if that works for you, then that's great. But understand that you need to create a plan that works for your brain and your business, not just a generic plan that's suggested by some hustle bro that doesn't really know how you work and what's important to you. So the first step is making everything visible. Then you go through and actually create a plan to get it all done. Schedule it out during the week. Schedule it out, a couple weeks in advance. Understanding what your priorities are going to be each week and each day, and figure out when you're actually going to do those things. I like to recommend to my clients that you plan out large projects over the next month or couple of months, however long it needs to take, in a general sense of, this week I'm going to do these tasks. This week I'm going to do these tasks. And then each week you sit down and you say, okay, here are the tasks that I've said that I have to do. Let me put them on individual days now that I am closer to the day and I understand sort of what my priorities are. And this includes business tasks. So I always recommend that you block out time for managing your inbox. I always recommend that you block out time for actual deep CEO strategic work, and then go in and add in everything else kind of around it so that you're really accounting for everything that has to get done in your business. And so when you start doing this, when you start actually planning out your time, planning out the things that you have to do, you stop filling every available hour and actually start planning for 70-ish% of the things that you're going to get done. You want to make sure that you're not over planning, you're not over committing. When you sit down on a Monday or a Friday afternoon and look at the plan that you have for the upcoming week, make sure that it's realistic. Make sure that you're actually going to be able to do all of those things, because if you overcommit, then you're just keep getting in that same cycle of not actually getting everything done, thinking that the next week will be better, and it's just perpetuating everything. So by actually planning it out, you will actually, how many more times can I say actually, get that work done because you didn't overcommit and overschedule. And also, you plan for the week that you actually are going to have and not the week that you wish you had. By sitting down and looking at your calendar and seeing what available time you actually have, you can be more realistic with how much work you can actually get done. If you have a very meeting heavy week where you have a lot of client meetings or a lot of networking things or a lot of, outside commitments that are taking you away from your day-to-day schedule, then you can be realistic in your expectations of what you're actually going to get done that week. And that means that you are planning for the week that you're actually going to have and not the week that you kind of wish you had. And you can finally stop working when you want to. You're not forced to stop in the middle of something because something came up, or the kids need you, or the dog has to go for a walk, or, something came up and you have to stop working. By planning out the work that you actually can do and are able to do in the time that you have, then you'll be able to work shorter hours potentially. You could maybe just work 10 to 2. You could take Fridays off. You could work 8 to 1 if that is better for how your energy is. You can start planning around these things and understanding what works best for you so that you can actually start living your life outside of your business. So this week, I want you to start at the beginning of the week by planning out everything you want to get done during the week. Not just the big things, not just launch a new offer, but what are the actual steps that you have to take? What are the emails you have to write? What are the social posts that you have to create? What's the other content that you have to create? List it all out step by step, and not even just, I have to create an Instagram post, but you have to create the graphic for the Instagram post. You have to create the caption for the Instagram post. You have to potentially go in and schedule the Instagram post. Maybe you have to do some hashtag research. Is that still a thing? I don't even know. But, plan out all of the steps for that. And I'm not saying that you have to give a time value for every single one, but if you want to, you can. It's helpful because that helps you see realistically how much you're actually expecting to get done versus how many hours you have. So this week, I just want you to try it once. Plan out your schedule, every single task that you have to do. You can time box it if you want. If you want to go the extra step, get some extra brownie points and actually put it into your calendar as time box for each task. If you don't want to go that far, that's perfectly fine. Just the act of planning out all of your tasks for your week will be a huge step forward so that you can realistically see how much you're trying to commit yourself to. If you're struggling with this every week and you're like, Lauren, I just want someone to tell me how to fix it, I got you. My Bottleneck to Balance roadmap helps you figure out what's all on your plate, and then we create a realistic schedule and a plan to actually get it all done. We figure out exactly what you've committed to, how much time it's going to take, if that's realistic, and we also go through the fine-tooth comb to see maybe what are things that you don't necessarily need to be doing, things that you could either delegate or maybe automate or maybe even just stop doing altogether. So we sit down together, figure all of that out, and then create a plan for you to get things done, to actually go through your list and schedule it out and make it all happen. So if you are interested in getting help figuring all that out, you can check it out at laurenglynn.com/balance-roadmap, and I will make sure to put that in the notes below. So when you are ready for help actually organizing all of this so that you don't have to start next week thinking, I just have to get through this week and it will be great, then go ahead and sign up for your session at that link. Thank you so much for watching or listening today. If you got value out of this, please leave a comment, rate, and review. It helps other people find this podcast, and it really means a lot to me to see that you are enjoying the content that I'm putting out and that you're getting value out of it. So thank you so much again, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.